in my research on expert entrepreneurs, one of the first things I discovered was they did not start with the vision of some big opportunity out there. They actually just started with the means that were readily available to them. They asked themselves, who am I? What do I know? Whom do I know? And given what I am, and all these resources that are available to me, that are readily available to me, what kind of ventures can I build? And even though the venture may not be very sexy or it doesn't seem high potential, they would jump in and start doing that. So what happens is, first thing is you can begin the venture very quickly. So you're not waiting for a perfect plan or a perfect set of resources before you get started. So you can get started very quickly. And plus, as you build it, you can also try lots of different things very quickly and find out what works down the road. Start with who you are, what you know, and whom you know, and do the doable. And do it very quickly. And then once you have done something, then push it, then add on to it, and then build on to it. And that is how you build a great company. But if you think you have to know a great company before you get started, then you probably will never get started.
I don't get it.
What?
That.
It's the Bradley.
Well, if that's the Bradley, then what's this?
What's the date?
1968. The question is, how did they get to that from this?
Gentlemen, our mission was to design and implement an infantry transport vehicle that would be a worthy replacement for the M113 armored personnel carrier. We have met that objective and then some. The Bradley armored personnel carrier will bring troops to a combat zone swiftly, efficiently, and safely. It will hold 11 men, plus a driver, and features a 20-millimeter cannon, which will provide ample firepower and at the same time flexibility. Lightly armored, speedy, and solidly engineered, our troops will be arriving at the battlefield in the very finest American technology has to offer. And at $1.5 million per, a real bargain.
Nice work, Colonel.
Outstanding. Impressive.
In other words, it was designed to be a big taxi cab, drive guys to the battlefield and go back home.
But how did it end up with a turret on top?
Well, this is all well and good, Colonel Smith, but...
Something wrong, General?
Well, with this gorilla in production, I don't suppose there's going to be anything left in the budget for my scout.
Doubt it, Bob.
You don't need scouts. You have radar, air recon, satellites.
You always need a scout. And you know what I'm thinking? Why couldn't this thing serve as a scout?
But it's a troop carrier, General.
But this is a speedy vehicle. Why can't it be both?
Well, for one thing, it's too big. And for the other, you can't really see out all that much from inside.
Sounds like a design flaw to me.
Design flaw? No.
No, we'll just stick a turret on top with lots of opticals.
But then, sir, it'll be even bigger.
Well, what's your problem, Smith? Not elegant enough for you?
Well, the thing is, General, it's kind of hard to do a sneak and peek when you're over 10 feet tall.
He's got a point, Bob.
Well, all I know is we need a scout. This is fast enough to do the job, and it's funded.
Well, actually, we're a hair over budget.
And how about some portholes along the side for individual firearms so the fellas can stick out their guns and shoot people?
Good. And you know what, Colonel? We already have the turret. We ought to get the biggest bang we can up there.
I'm sorry, bang, sir?
You can't hurt anybody with that gun. Add on some firepower.
We are pleased to present a scale model of the new Bradley fighting vehicle. featuring scout, troop transport, and anti-tank capabilities. It carries 6 men.
How many was it supposed to carry?
11.
Bradley is outfitted with the most sophisticated surveillance equipment ever developed. It is also equipped with a rapid-fire cannon and an anti-tank rocket launcher.
Which means it's loaded with
1,500 shells and 10-tow anti-tank missiles.
So in summation, gentlemen, what you have before you is
a troop transport that can't carry troops, a reconnaissance vehicle that's too conspicuous to do reconnaissance,
And a quasi-tank that has less armor than a snowblower, but has enough ammo to take out half of DC.
Fantastic. Congratulations, General Smith.
General?
Hell of a job.
General.
Let's build it.
They're building it?
This is what we're building?
There are 5 principles for this logic of non-predictive control, or we call this effectual logic as opposed to causal logic. The 5 principles are that the first one is the bird in hand principle. So start with your means and not with some predetermined goals. Start with your means and ask yourself, what kinds of things can I do with my means? Then given that you can do X, Y, and Z, you pick the one that requires only the amount of investment that you can afford to lose. So you don't pick using expected return as your criteria, you do what you can afford to lose. So you don't invest huge amounts of money. That's the second principle, the affordable loss principle. The third principle is the crazy quilt principle. The crazy quilt principle says you go out and talk to people and start bringing people on board. And you're not really the big salesperson saying, here is why you should invest in my company. Instead, you are bringing people on board who want to be part of your company so that they can shape the future with you. So they co-create the future with you. So it's like a crazy quilt. You just have random patches of fabric that you stitch together into this expanding network of stakeholders. The fourth principle is the lemonade principle. There is a saying in America that when life throws lemons at you, make lemonade. So when you build a venture effectually, all kinds of surprises are going to happen because you're not doing planning and prediction, and so you have to be open to surprises. And when surprising things happen, even negative surprises, the expert entrepreneurs have become very good at turning them into something useful, even turning something negative into something positive. That's the lemonade principle. And the last principle is the pilot in the plane principle, that when all is said and done, there is no perfect way to build a company. So just simply thinking about, the trends in the future, or somehow you are the smart person and you can see something that other people cannot, is not a good way to build a venture. Instead, you want to understand that the future comes from what you and I choose to do. So our working together to co-create the future is the best way to deal with an unpredictable future. Not try to predict it, but to kind of co-create it. So, and we co-create it in ways that we care about.